Hey guys, welcome back to the Big Red Express. Sitting down in CrossFit Krypton with regional athlete, CrossFit Games athlete, Cody Mooney. First off, Cody, you are less than a week away from regionals once again. What's your mindset going into regionals this weekend?
We go first, which I like personally.
Yeah.
I like kind of setting the pace for the other regions, and the less time, the better for me, I guess, just with workouts, knowing them. But no, same as always. You gotta trust in your training. We've made it here this year, this far, and personally, I like it. The higher the level it gets, the more fun I think the competition gets. So
When you look at this year of training, obviously last year you qualified for the CrossFit Games. The goal is always to get back to the CrossFit Games every single year. What have you done this differently this year as opposed to last year to really punch your ticket back to Madison?
yeah, that's always the end all be all when we compete. It is, but I still just love competing no matter what. But
right.
yeah, actually this year's been a little bit different. So I had a labrum tear last year during the Open, the
Okay.
regionals, and the games in my shoulder. So I had surgery end of September. So leading up to the Open and whatnot, I didn't get a lot of good training in. I got a lot of aerobic stuff, but the gymnastics and weightlifting wasn't
Go ahead.
there. So, this year's definitely been different with training. I've been ramping it up for regionals because of that. Just the volume and some of the movements haven't been there, but it's feeling better. And so I've been down here at Krypton for the past 2 weeks, and this place is pretty amazing when it comes to training. There's no other crew like this around. So.
Yeah. How do you, not trying to compare who you normally train with Krypton down here, but how is it being around, 4 other regional athletes just here alone and a team going as well, just training with them on a daily basis, getting good sweats in, and it's going to be probably a little bit colder up there than it is down here, but being down here with the heat's got to play into your advantage coming into next weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to be down here in the heat and get away from the cold for sure. Cause
Definitely.
You get put in that arena, they get pretty hot most
Right.
of the time. But no, I've told people this all around the world when I come down here. This crew is like no other. A lot of the times when you get so many high-level athletes together, there's always that competitive feeling, and sometimes it's not the best when you're around some athletes.
Right.
But down here, it's just you don't get that vibe at all. Everyone wants to see everyone succeed, and everyone wants to have their best day out here. And when you're done training, you're done training, and it's always a fun time being down here. So anytime I have a big competition coming up, I try to get down here just to be around the guys and whatnot, because it's just there's so much talent. There's so many years of CrossFit, and it's just a really fun atmosphere to be around.
You're the first weekend. A lot of people like that. Some people, just kind of want to get it over with, kind of get it. Would you prefer maybe a later regional, one of the first, second, or third? I know you mentioned it just briefly earlier, but a lot of people kind of can psych themselves up a little bit too much, almost like you look at what those first 2 weekends of regionals, even that first weekend of regionals, and almost like, all right, well, I can't do that. Do you just like to just kind of go into it without seeing anyone else do it?
Yeah, you definitely get that, but some crazy things happen on that competition floor.
Right.
You can't simulate those things sometimes in the gym, but yeah, for sure. Personally, I like the first weekend. I like getting out there, kind of setting the pace, and not really knowing what's going to happen at all, and it's fun. And also, I like to get to travel to other regionals after.
Right.
Like I'll go down to Alex and whatnot and watch everyone down there. So I might make it up to California, watch China, so stuff like that. And when you're the first weekend, you get to do that. But when you're not, you can't, because you can't take the time off yet. So,
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely like getting it out of the way. I'm one of those guys that whenever there's a workout ready, I'm like, I'll go first.
For sure.
So that's definitely I like it for sure.
The road to regionals is almost harder than the actual regional itself, because you're competing against so many people. You have to qualify top 20, or in some regions it's even less than that in your specific region. How was the Open this year for you, feeling wise? Obviously you had an injury going into last year's Open, was able to qualify for regionals and eventually the games. How was the Open this year for you personally?
Yeah, I think the Open gets harder and harder every year. There's
Definitely.
just so many people that are getting into the sport, and some freak athletes out there. And the tough part about the Open is that, everyone might not be so well-rounded like when you get to regionals, but just the couple people that, you can take points. They can just give you points in certain workouts just
right.
here and there. They don't have to be, they might not make regionals, but they're still giving you points in some spots. So, yeah, like I said, this year Open was definitely tough. I think I finished like 27th, and our region takes 25. So I got squeaked in by some people going team and whatnot. But It was one of those things. I mean, muscle ups, chest to bar, overhead squats, all that stuff I wasn't doing before. So,
Right.
I mean, I maybe did 10 muscle ups total before the open since across the games, or
Right.
I didn't overhead squat or anything like that. So those were definitely different. But no, the deadlift workout helped me out this year. That was a kind of saving grace.
For sure.
I took some hits. I took a hit in the burpee, squat, and clean.
Okay.
One. But, I mean, stuff happens, like I said. But personally, I like us all out there with a judge and
Right.
not on our own home turf and stuff. So, like I said, the higher the competition gets, I think the better off it is personally for me. So
Speaking of high competition this year in the East Regional, no Matt Frazier for the first time. Last year you went head-to-head with him and kind of was in the same heats and stuff like that all weekend long. It opens up objectively one more spot for one other person that may not have qualified last year. You still have the Vellners and the Paulsons and you, of course, and things like that. When there isn't a Matt Frazier in your region, obviously a guy who is the talk of the CrossFit universe every year when it comes to games time. And did you see that? Did you see that pressure being put on him? And did you see a lot more coverage being put on Matt Frazier last year just being in his regional?
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of coverage there just because what Matt's done and whatnot.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're lucky he left the region," but I mean, personally, I kind of like having him in the region.
Definitely, yeah.
It's the best rabbit to chase.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. But no, our region is still. I mean, once one leaves, one comes out of the woodwork. I mean, Alex Mignot is back. He took second in the Open. He's a really well-rounded athlete. He's a bigger guy, so he does well on the regional level. And then, Patrick Vellner is just
right.
He's one of the coolest guys I've ever met. Just so down to earth, and he's such a fun guy to compete against. So I really like the crew up in the East. We always have a good time, and it's always a good push with everyone. So Matt will be missed, but then again, it's definitely a spot that again opens up for someone else.
Right.
99% of the time, unless he gets injured, he's taking a spot. So.
Definitely, and I think it's cool just to see other people that you may not have heard of, and that's the cool thing about the regionals and Open, and stuff like that is like you may see these guys that you may have never heard of before, kind of squeak their way in, like a Tim Paulson. Yeah, he's tried for 5 straight years, but finally making it, and just the stories behind everyone that finally makes it to the games. Talk to us about the community that you have, not only with that regional that you guys get to see them once a year, really during the year, and I'm sure you see them at other events and things of that nature, but how cool is it to kind of form a brotherhood and a sisterhood with certain athletes from not only in your region but all across the world?
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, this will be my 5th regional, so I've seen these guys a lot.
Right.
And it's I mean, I love seeing them every year. I mean, some have gone team now. Some are back to individual. Some might not be there competing anymore, but you see them in the crowd. You see them when you're walking around and whatnot. And it's always nice to see them. It's like, it's like a high school reunion.
Right.
You kind of get to see your friends again once
For
a
sure.
year. So, like I said, there's a lot of guys that I really enjoy being around, and a lot of girls up there that they're just fun athletes to be around, and they put on a good show. And it's a fun region to be at. I mean,
right.
we're a big region. We have a lot of people, and CrossFit's really loved up there in those states. So it's a fun region to be at.
We were talking to Cody Mooney, CrossFit Games athlete from last year. Let's talk about that CrossFit Games experience. This is your 5th year. Last year was your 4th year going for it. How did it feel to finally – let's talk about that last day of regionals before we get into the CrossFit Games itself. How was it on that last day? You knew you still had to fight to, get that top 5 spot. You had a couple more events to go. How was that feeling before and then after they announced that you were going to the games?
Yeah, it was kind of like a surreal moment, I guess. It didn't really sink in when I was out there.
Right.
It's kind of one of those things. You're just so physically and emotionally drained after
Definitely.
a long weekend. You don't really let it set all in. But, after like a couple days after, started sitting in, I started going to other regionals and stuff, and it was kind of sinking in. It was just really cool. It was super cool. I mean, no matter what I do in my life, I'll always love to compete. So
right.
It's just something that's a part of me. And, I mean, I love CrossFit. I love what it does. I love the kind of the nature of it. So it was a really blessing to be able to compete at that high level, and I hope I have a couple more years of it and whatnot. So
how was the CrossFit Games for you? I mean, you had gone before as a spectator. You've seen athletes, and obviously you've seen Ben compete there. Alec last year was one of your good friends that you've met through CrossFit and stuff like that, was there right by your side during the whole weekend. How was that whole experience? I'm sure it's got to be a surreal experience, especially since every single year they're trying to get bigger and better. This year, the first time in Madison. How was that experience for you as an athlete and just really the whole town of Madison kind of come together for one event?
Yeah, I mean, I went to California once, the year that Ben won it, actually.
Yeah.
So 2015. And I thought Madison was a lot cooler. I think the whole town kind of gets taken over. It's kind of a hipster place, and it's super cool, like with the restaurants and whatnot. And it's cool to see like everyone kind of come together. It reminded me of like a big college campus,
Definitely,
like a big CrossFit college campus. So I really liked it there. And I mean, the games experience was awesome. It's one of those things where just that many people and that much adrenaline, and no matter what Dave gives you, you don't really care at that point. You're just going out there, you're having a fun time, and you're competing. It was definitely ups and downs, just like any other competition. Like again, I was that was the like midst of my shoulder thing, so I was really struggling with that big time. But I just enjoy being out there. Like you said, it was Alex's first time too, so just us being out there together and having been out there, and just a couple other people that I've trained with before, some of the Misfit dudes. It was just a fun time. Like we really enjoyed it.
Going back this year, hopefully you qualify and things of that nature. But going into regionals, knowing you've been to the games, do you put an extra pressure on yourself, knowing that all right, I went last year, so everyone's expecting me to get back there this year? Is there more of a pressure on yourself, or are you more relaxed? Because a lot of people are like, you know what, I made it to the CrossFit Games. I can kind of relax. If I make it, great. If not, I'm going to get there next year. How is that mindset, knowing you've already been there once and trying to, get back there again? I
mean, I always expect a lot out of myself, so I always put that pressure on myself. I mean, it's good to have that. And there'll be nothing in life that I go into just be like, we'll see how it plays out. Like, of course, I want to go there and I want to win.
For sure.
But, I mean, I had that pressure on myself before I made it to the games. Like, if you don't go with the mindset that you're going to make it to the games, going to regionals, you might as well just kind of check in or check out before you get there. You know what I mean? So, even the years that I might not have qualified, I still had the same mindset going into regionals the year that I did qualify. So, but, like I said, I don't let it overtake me. I enjoy my time out there. You got to learn to take it all in because – one thing can happen. You might never not be there again. So
definitely,
I take it all in when I'm in there. But I'm there to compete, and I'll hopefully punch another ticket to the game. So
how do you keep yourself healthy? Whether it's your body being healthy, CrossFit, as many people know, puts a lot of load on your body. Whether it's squats, cleans, whatever it may be, you put a lot of stress on your muscles, on your body throughout the year. How do you keep yourself healthy and kind of in terms of the way that you move in your body per tail, and then your health-wise? Obviously a diet is a big thing. Some people don't care about their diet. A lot of people just kind of they just eat whatever they want because they can. I know Alec is one of those people that doesn't really, he watches what he eats, but he's pretty free about, eating about whatever he wants. But how do you go about doing that? And especially when you're on the road a lot, trying to travel and you're not really at home, at a home base, how do you kind of, treat your body right?
Yeah, I definitely watch what I eat for sure. It's kind of think of your body as a machine, I guess, a little bit. You're going to put junk into it. You can't expect a lot out of it.
Right.
So, but other than that, it's a tough time of year not to overtrain because you just want to get. When Dave Castro gives you the answers to a test, you want to
exactly
you want to do them for sure. But there's also, sleeping enough, training smart, stuff like that. Realizing that. Regionals only is 2 events a day.
Yeah.
Which way you break it down.
Right.
It's 2 events a day. Yeah, they're long events. They're tough events. And being out there, like I said, competing is a whole different new game. But they're 2 events a day. So you got to know that. You got to be okay with maybe not doing 5 or 6 pieces, but really giving it your all in the 2 that you do. So it's just being smart. And And again, that just comes from years of doing it.
For sure.
And being down here and realizing that, all these guys know. So it's just years of experience and whatnot. And
yeah, we got the workouts right in front of us. We got them right here. Is there one in particular that you are looking forward to, and then maybe one that you're not quite looking forward to?
Yes, I really like the handstand walk one.
Okay.
I think it's cool.
Even with the obstacle?
Even with the obstacle, yeah. I'm a big fan of the obstacle.
Okay.
So I think it's just a cool little piece to put in it. We've been handstand walking now for years and years.
Yeah,
so he had to do something a little bit different. I wouldn't say I'm not looking forward to any of them, but Linda is probably one that is a little bit of a red flag for me just because of the bench. It's just something that maybe I don't do as much as I should, and especially with the whole labrum thing I had going on for a while. That was like the movement. Like I tried to bench a couple of times. I just couldn't. It brought too much pain to my shoulder. But I've done it now, and I've been benching a little bit throughout the couple weeks, and it's been feeling good. So I think but a lot of people look at Linda and they think bench just because we haven't had bench yet, but there's a lot of other things in Linda to go through, you know what I mean? So I'll make up time where I can, and then I'll take my time.
Yeah, those reps will definitely add up fast in those first 3-4 rounds. Then you get to 6 and 5, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is never gonna end.
Yeah.
Then just kind of just balls to the wall for the next
Yep.
4 rounds. So you look at the handstand walk, and you look at really the progression of CrossFit over the last decade. I mean, it's crazy to think like a decade ago, even being on your hands in a CrossFit competition was like unheard of. Like maybe a handstand, and even like a handstand hold. Like I feel like that's something they would have maybe had like a max handstand hold at the games 9 years ago or something like that. But you look at the progress. How do you compare your journey of the progress that you've made since you started CrossFit to where you are now, and what's the coolest part of your journey so far, do you think?
Just seeing it grow. I mean, I hope one day that this sport just keeps growing and growing, and you see it somewhere else, because I think that some of the things that these athletes are doing are just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like Tia Claire Toomey, what she did in the Olympics with weightlifting, and then what she does as a runner, and she's winning the CrossFit Games and stuff like that. It's mind-blowing. It really is.
Definitely.
It's like nothing else you've ever seen. I mean, most athletes are specialists. They're really good at one thing, but we can't be. So I think that I just hope the sport just keeps growing and growing, because there's some athletes that can really showcase some really, really cool things out there. So I just, I hope it keeps growing, and I hope it keeps getting bigger. And I hope that maybe one day regionals gets a little bit bigger again, invites a little bit more, couple more athletes like it used to, just so that some athletes can, spread the love of their gyms and whatnot.
Definitely.
And get their chance, because some athletes know I'll maybe never make it to the games.
Right.
Regionals was my games, and now that it's getting so hard to make it there, I hope it gets a little bit bigger again, because it's gonna have to, because the sport's growing, like I said. So,
right.
But no, it's just it's been cool to see around. I mean, I think I hopped into it around the time where it started to really grow quite fast. So just seeing it over the past couple of years has been pretty sweet.
It's cool because, I mean, yeah, it's one spot, but that South America region, that may be the first time that those athletes get a shot at make it to the CrossFit Games, and it's really cool, and I think it's the beginning of something that's you're going to see in countries all over the place. And I know there are different organizations out there that are trying to make CrossFit more than just and I'm not saying that the CrossFit community is a niche community, but you do see the same people going back, and not saying that those people don't deserve it, but people from that may never make it to the games should have a chance to qualify for their regionals. And I know they've been trying to do that over the years, and I think this is still a very young sport. I mean, it's crazy to only think that the CrossFit Games have been around for just over a decade.
Yep.
And to be a part of it and to see it grow, you obviously know, I know, just the opportunities are endless to see. Cody, when you're not at the gym, when you're not training, last couple questions, what do you do? What are you doing? Do you have any hobbies that you like doing? Do you have any shows on Netflix or anything like that you like to kind of binge watch or anything like that?
I was born and raised in Maine, so we're outside a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, four-wheeling, dirt biking, just snowmobiling, anything that involves outside. I grew up playing, we call them real sports, but, sports that you just most likely see throughout high school and stuff like that my whole life. So I still do that with my guy friends.
Awesome.
We'll get into intramural leagues and stuff like that. I love being active. It's something I've always done. So that's why CrossFit kind of filled that gap for me, which was cool. But no, I still love, I love just being outside and whatnot, and hanging with friends and stuff, and just, having a good time. It's fun. And I know a lot of people get caught up in the gym and whatnot, but like I said, it's if you don't have a balance in that stuff, it's going to take you over pretty quick. So I definitely like to have a balance.
Cody, where can people reach you if they want to kind of get in touch with you, kind of follow your journey as you make your way through this weekend at regionals up in Albany, New York? How can they kind of follow you and what you got going on?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at CMooneyCF.
Okay.
I do have a Facebook page and stuff that I think one of my friends will kind of run for me just when I'm at regionals, just to post some events just for family back home that don't make it there and whatnot. So they can check out that. But no, I'm not on Twitter or anything like that. But yeah, you can definitely see it there and see some of the journey and whatnot for sure. Awesome.
Well, Cody, good luck this weekend at the the East Regional up in Albany, New York. You can catch it all on the Games website, I'm sure. Good luck, and hopefully we'll see you in Madison later on this year.
Thanks, Robbie.